very beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Mano. Very happy, of course, to be here this morning to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. Of course, I tell you, it promises to be another exciting edition of the show. Top on our menu this morning, Lagos State sets for the Unified Scrabble Championship. And coming in, of course, from tennis, British tennis star suffers a setback at Pan Pacific Open. And in football, UEFA Champions League makes a return tonight. These and many more will be yours after the short time out. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we told you Today's edition of the show promises to be another exciting one. And of course, joining me this morning to take a look at some of the issues we have on our menu this morning is Rex Sepele. Good morning to you, Rex, and welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning to you, Kingsley, and our able listeners out there. Thank you for having me on this morning show.
All right, let's move straight to take a look at the latest coming from gymnastics this morning as elder stakeholders and founding fathers of Gymnastic Federation of Nigeria has condemned what they describe as years of oppression and under-democratic system of administration in Nigeria and called for total overhaul and return of democracy. In a statement issued after a meeting in Abuja, the elder stakeholders led by Chief Obano, the elders expressed deep concern, sadness and disappointment on the present-day gymnastic sports in Nigeria. They lamented over the disunity, intimidation and suppression that has been the order for the day in Nigeria and Nigerian gymnastics over some years under the current administration. They described the situation as darkest years in the history of Nigerian gymnastics, during which athletes were neglected, coaches abandoned, and genuine development replaced with personal interests and political favors to the detriment of the sports. Rex, let me come down to you. What do you make of it? Those, of course, who actually founded, gymnastics in the country, who brought the sports, of course, to limelight, they are complaining that the sport has lost its value. We're no longer seeing gymnastics, of course, being one of the sports that, of course, we could actually go up there and put up an impressive performance. How will you describe the state of gymnastics, in the country?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say that the Nigerian sports system is a mixed one, and with a government-led structure that has fully recognized its democratic approach. There are established systems like the what they call the Ministry of Youth and Sports. If you go through those sectors, you see that those systems or those agencies are just mainly by appointment, government appointing people to handle those sectors. So I think that the democratic system in Nigerian sports is not good enough, because it's a government-led structure, and that has led to the decay that we are having in most of our sports sectors at the moment. So I think that for fairness, for equity, for the sports to grow, there should be a democratic system where people can elect leaders who are capable of running the system. They know people who can do well in a particular sector. There should be a play level field for everybody to choose their leaders. I think if they do this, we can see that not only on gymnastics, also we can experience other growth, in also other sectors in Nigeria, also in sports. I think that will go a long way.
Do you see gymnastics as a sport, of course, that could possibly strive, down here in Nigeria, just like we've seen maybe football, basketball, some you take a look at even athletics as well. Do you see gymnastics as a sport that can, of course, gain momentum in Nigeria?
Sure. Every sport has its own strength and weakness, and sometimes some sports take a gradual process for people to find the best part in it, and gymnastics is one of those sports. I think that when a sport, like you said, a sport that has suffered from administrative issues and all that, according to them, they say there is no democratic system. People are just being appointed forcefully to take care of the system or to do things that they are not supposed to do. And maybe and these are the elder stakeholders of the gymnastics sector in Nigeria. They're crying out. So I think that first of all, there have to be this administrative correction so that there will be no loopholes. Then from there, you can see those sports thriving, no matter how long it takes for them to strive.
And of course, they lamented that for 8 painful years, they watched gymnastics sink into chaos. and irrelevant sports. Furthermore, the other statements noted that the National Sport Commission recent reinforcements in the election process, including an attempt to impose leadership through appointments and supporting the third term ambition, has further deepened the crisis. So we look forward to see how all of this, of course, will be resolved so that gymnastic can be revived in the country. But away from that, let's take a look at Scrabble this morning as two influential members of Team Nigeria to the forthcoming World English Scrabble Players Association Championship in Accra, Ghana next month are ready to Dazwan, China. The maiden edition of the Lagos Unified Scrabble meets at Royal Park Sports Center, Alo Gamuji Yaba. Recently crowned Lekki Scrabble Classic champion, Adu Menem Jimo led the roster of super heavyweights award lords who have registered for the competition that also has Accra-bound John Ayedon on board. 5 other young, talented wordsmiths have entered for the Lagos Unified Scrabble meet, and they are 2023 African Youth Scrabble champion David Oji and Emmanuel Oye, a one-time winner of the Opens category at the prestigious annual Scrabble tournament, including Joseph Okere, armed to throw some players under the bus. About 40 players have so far registered to compete at the one-day competition, which will be rated by the Nigerian Scrabble Federation and the Pan-African Scrabble Association. So we'll see how this one, of course, will pan out. I wish, of course, the Nigerian representative the very best in this one. But away from that, let's talk powerlifting, as the National Sport Commission has extended heartfelt, congratulations to the nation's para-powerlifting contingent for their outstanding performance at the just concluded World Para-Powerlifting Championship in Cairo, Egypt. Team Nigeria showcased remarkable strengths and national pride, finishing second overall on the medals table with an impressive 20 medals comprising 8 gold, 7 silver, and 5 bronze. China claimed the top spot with 21 medals, 13 gold, 4 silver, and 4 bronze. In his congratulatory message, the Director General of the National Sport Commission, Honorable Bukola Olafade, commended the athletes for their resilience and for lifting the Nigerian flag high on the global stage. What do you make of it? It's been an impressive performance for the para lifters. Came second, in the championship down there in Egypt, and now the government, of course, sending a congratulatory message, to, of course, commend them for their efforts, as it stands. Apart from sending congratulatory message, Rex, what other things do you think the government should do for this para athletes who has always lived up to expectation whenever they go out for a championship like this?
I think the government should do more, not just sending them congratulatory messages. They should be able to keep them. They should be able to give them something that can make them feel as part of winners. Not just in football, in women football, in other sports, when people deliver results, you see government coming to donate lands, coming to do 1 or 2 things for them, giving them houses, giving them lots of money. But in other sectors of the sports in Nigeria, most of the time you don't hear things like this happening. So I think there should be a balanced approach, to make sure that these people feel welcomed, that they have delivered success to Nigerians. And not only that, you also need to also keep them, because most of the times people like this, when they go as far as winning major competitions, in the next 2-3 years, they easily fade away, because there's no sustainability of talent. So I think the sports sector, the powerlifting sector should make sure that some of these athletes are being kept and are being harnessed
one thing, some of these athletes, of course, they've been in the scene for a very, very long time. Of course, they'll be representing Nigeria, and they've been delivering. All right, one of the things that we've not really seen being done to these para athletes is the fact that their welfare, not properly being taken care of. That's actually the issue. Of course, these are disabled, athletes. They find it very difficult to do some certain things, so they need a lot of money,
Yeah.
to run their day-to-day, activities. They need assistance, and all of that. So the thing is, we've not really seen much attention, being paid to them, especially when it has to do with welfare. If you take a look at the records, the para outlets, they've done very well, even than the able-bodied athletes in terms of churning out medals in competition, even at the Olympic Games. But yet, we've not really seen them being heavily rewarded, just like the way the able-bodied athletes are being rewarded.
I think it's left for the sports agencies or the government, because Nigerian sports, like I said, they have a government-led structure, to do the needful, to make sure that there is a balance, okay, to make sure that people are also treated with fairness and equity, because people are disabled does not mean that they cannot be treated equally as those who are also able.
In fact, they need more attention.
Yeah. It will also pose a kind of send a strong signal that no matter your disability, no matter your deformity in life, you can as well, achieve great things, instead of going down the street doing things that are unlawful for personal gain. I think if they do that, maybe by maybe giving them lands, giving them housing, make a catering for them, giving them some money, like
placing them on salary.
Like some of the athletes or some of the sport, the football players, the women category and all that. Recently, they won a competition, and you see President Ahmed Bola Tinubu disbursing cash, giving them lands. So similar things should be also done to these people who are also disabled.
Yeah, true.
It calls for fairness. It calls for equity. I think in doing so, it will send a strong signal that no matter your disability, no matter your deformity, you can still make it in life.
All right, let's see how it goes. We hope that the federal government will go further in rewarding the efforts of these para-athletes, para-lifters that, of course, go out there and be able to put up something huge this time around. But away from that, let's shift our attention to all that matter. Another matter, as it stands, as Dr. Solomon Ogba has been re-elected as the African representative, showcasing his exceptional leadership skills and dedication to the world of athletics. His journey in sports administration has been marked by numerous achievements, earning him recognition globally. Dr. Agba's contributions to the IAU serve as the area representative for Africa on the International Association of Ultra Runners Executive Council since 2016, instrumental in promoting ultra running in Africa, bringing the first IAU African 50-kilometer championship to Nigeria in 2019, demonstrated exceptional leadership and commitment to the development of athletics on the African continent. Agba's appointments to the Commonwealth Games Federation Governance and Integrity Committee, elected as a member of the Commonwealth Games Federation Governance and Integrity Committee for a 4-year term until May 2028. He will work closely with the committee to ensure the highest standard of the governance and ethical conduct within the Commonwealth Games sports movement. All right, let's move away from that as we take a look at tennis on the show this morning. As British number 3 Katie Boulter, poor run of form continued with a straight set loss to world number 44 Eva Lees in the first round of the Pan Pacific Open in Tokyo. Boulter, who is 29 years, was beaten 6-2, 6-1 in just 1 hour and 14 minutes by the 23-year-old German. After coming through 2 rounds of qualifying, she was the only British player in the main draw after Emma Raducanu withdrew, ending her season early through illness. Brighton was only able to win 50% of the points on her first serve and was broken 5 times by Lee. The latest defeat caps a disappointed run of form, which has seen the former world number 29 unable to progress beyond the second round of a tournament since the Nottingham Open in June. It also comes 5 days after the Brighton loss in straight sets in the second round of the Japan Open by world number 51, Serena Setia. All right, let's quickly take a look at other interesting story coming from tennis this morning as 8th seed Karolina Muchova has progressed to the next round in Tokyo after her opponent Maketa Vondrousova was forced to retire with injury while trailing 6-1 love. Talented Aussie teenager Maya joined the through in Tokyo as well after his 1-6, 7-6, 6-2 comeback triumph over Victoria Kulabik, while Anna Koleskaya has beaten Suzanne Lemaire 6-3, 6-1. We have had a couple of early results in Tokyo with Makati Kessler recovering from a set down to beat Cesar Bosta 3-6, 7-6, 6-3, and Evelise Okoro powering away past Ketibota in straight sets 6-2, 6-1. Impressive one, of course, you say, coming from the beautiful world of tennis. Some of the tournaments, of course, been on just to keep some these tennis players, fit for next season. Of course, the Australian Open just by the corner, and then we'll see how, of course, these players will perform after trying to keep themselves fit with some of these tournaments and also racking points, for themselves at the end of the day. We'll take a break. When we return from this break, of course, I will bring you the latest coming from the beautiful world of football. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're bringing you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports at this point. It's time to talk football on the show. And we'll start with the Nigerian Premier Football League as Kano Pillars have suspended their technical advisor, Evans Ugoin, and chief coach Ahmed Gaba Yaro. The management of the club took the decision following the Sir Musa Gida's 2-1 defeat to Barrow FC in a local derby on Sunday. It was Kano Pillars' fourth defeat in the Nigerian Premier Football League, the FFL this season, and the four-time MPFL champions have also recorded 2 wins and 2 draws. Former captain and assistant coach Gambo Mohammed has been mandated to take a temporary charge for the team. Mohammed will be assisted by goalkeeping coach Suleiman Shaubu and Ghazali Mohammed. Kano Pillars will host Niger Tornadoes in a March 10th fixture this weekend. What's happening to Kano Pillars? It's not been rosy for them this season, from poor results to fans invading pitch, sanctions and all of that. And this is an era, this is the era in Kano Pillars where Ahmed Musa is the general manager of the team. What's wrong?
Well, it's a bit pathetic and sad news for
them. We expect that, Ahmed Musa coming to take over Helm of Affairs, as a manager in Kano Pillars, as one who is vast experience, travel around the world, he has explored the world of football. We believe, his time should have been something very, very spectacular. We know he's just starting, but why is it that he's starting on a very, very difficult, and turbulent note at the moment?
Well, sometimes it takes some time for the waters to become stable, to become still. Last season, we saw a similar case with Nwankwo Kanu when he took over the appointment of Eimba as, I think, the sporting director role. Eimba were not really performing at a very high level. They had ups and downs. They didn't perform so well, compared to the previous years. But you can see that this season, Eimba, they are beginning to have picked up from, so I think that administration is quite different from playing football. So it takes a lot of time to put things in order to master the craft, and let's see how it works for him. But Kano Pillars, at the moment, they are not at the best of form. That's why they sacked their coach and their technical advisor for someone else to take over. And I think when a club is not doing well, that is the right thing to do, so that it can give the club a new shape and a new direction for the future.
Of course, they were beaten by Barrow FC, the newly promoted side in the MPFL, 2-1 over the weekend. And that was not, of course, a good result at all, you would say, at this point in time. Away from that, we understand that Bayelsa United head coach Merimo Okara has blamed wet pitch at the Samson Siasia Stadium for his side defeat to Kun Khalifat FC. The Prosperity Boys suffered a 2-1 home defeat to Kun Khalifat FC in Yenugua over the weekend. Okara described the loss to the mother side as unfortunate, and the former League Cup winners dropped to 13th position on the MPFL table with 11 points. The coach is complaining of wet pitch, and this is their home pitch, as a stand. So it says the reason why they couldn't actually put up a very impressive performance. So what do you make of the thoughts of Okara when you are complaining that your house is not good enough? What will you do? It's just that somebody you have a home, and you are complaining, oh, this home is not good enough for me, or how do I manage things? But you have everything it takes to put your house in order. And now this is what has happened. It has made the team not to, of course, have a very impressive performance over the weekend. What do you make of the thoughts of Okara blaming the performance of his team to the bad nature of the pitch?
I think that's not an excuse. It's like what the scripture says, thou art inexcusable, oh man. I mean, this is the pitch that you've been using all through last season. If there is need for pitch management improvements, you should complain to the authorities.
Yeah.
For them to work on it and see your guys playing football at a very high level. I think that it's not an excuse, and even playing on that wet pitch, they should have even mastered the wet pitch
How would they master the? I don't think they've been used to playing on the wet pitch.
No,
You know, rain. This is a rainy season to say at some point. You know, rain falls every day, so it's it's not that the pitch always gets wet every day. So it happens that on that very day the pitch was very wet, all right. And the way it is actually being done, it's not the kind of a pitch that even when rain falls, the players can still find it very easy, of course, to play.
Yeah, sometimes even when the pitch gets wet, it's even to the home side advantage.
But they couldn't
Utilize
the opportunity.
Yes, because why I said so is the away side is coming, and you know they've not even mastered your pitch in the first place. Now there's a disadvantage, which is the wet pitch. So sometimes we that play local football, when there is even rain, we are even happy because we have mastered playing on that pitch. And the rain is even sometimes an advantage for us because most of us have played on that wet pitch before now. So we know the bad spots. So we make sure that the ball does not get to the bad spots, especially if we are facing the direction where the water is not much on us and all that. So we can always grant that a victory. So I think that it's not an excuse to say that the pitch was bad. He should have used that as even an advantage to the away team, and that would have fetched him victory. But that's another cry for the authorities, the Bayelsa State government, to make sure that the poor management of the pitch is being put in place and is being brought back to normalcy.
Away from that, we understand that Flamingos head coach Bankole Olowokere blamed missed chances for his side heavy defeat to Canada. The Nigerian girls started their campaign at the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup with a 4-1 loss to the North Americans. Canada took the lead in the second minute through Gabriela Istoki. Queen Joseph pounced on a loose ball to equalize for the Flamingos on the half-hour mark. Canada goalkeeper Khadija Sise made several smart stops to frustrate the Flamingos, and the Flamingos ever paid for those missed chances, with Canada scoring tries late in the game through Julia Amira and Malisa Kekik. Olowokere is ready to move on from the defeat and concentrate on their next game. Flamingos will take on France in their next game in Rabat tomorrow. Do they stand a chance? They couldn't beat Canada. I think they were beating 4-1. And now they'll be facing France. They have to win against France to stand a chance. Can they get the job done?
That will be very difficult, and that will be very, very difficult. The France national team is a strong one, and I don't really see us qualifying. But let's just hope that they get the best out of that encounter.
All right, let's see how it goes. We hope that Flamingos of Nigeria will look for a way to get the job done, as it stands. But away from that, to understand that Morocco's Othmani Mama and the USA Benjamin Krasmachi have won the Golden Ball and Golden Boot respectively at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup tournament in Chile. This comes following the conclusion of the tournament in the early hours of Monday. 2 goals from winger Yasin Zambiri in the first half ensured Morocco defeated Argentina 2-0 at Estadio Nacional Julio Martinez Brandanus to leave the trophy. Rex, what do you make of it? Impressive outing for Morocco, in this one. I tell you, was such an impressive. I didn't see this coming. They have to take top countries like the likes of Brazil. You talk about, I think, was it Canada, France, Argentina, down to the final, and were able, of course, to lay their hands on this one for the very first time. What do you make of football in Morocco?
I think football is evolving rapidly in Morocco, starting from their senior, the big boys, the Moroccan national team, down to the junior level. We've seen a great level of improvement, and most of the players out there, I took time to look at their profile because I was wondering where these boys players coming from. You see that some of them are players from Mamelodi, some of them from Wada Casablanca, some of them from they're just the youth team, some of them coming up, and some of them have even started playing for the senior boys, but just camo appearances and all that. So I think that it shows that the football in Morocco is really improving rapidly. They have a youth system which is fetching them results, and they are also doing well at the international stage, making sure that they represent Africa so well. I think they've done well, so I have to say congratulations to them. And we also hope that Nigeria emulates from them also.
You know, before we even talk about Nigeria emulating Morocco at this point in time, Morocco last time were in the semi-final of the 2022, I think, World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah.
And now they also had an impressive performance, so a bit as well. I think in the last African Cup of Nations, you talk about the fact that even the female team in the last World Cup, I think they made it down to the round of 16. You know, they've never gotten to that height before at the World Cup. And now the under-20 team, they have won the under-20 World Cup for the very first time. With these movements, do you see Morocco winning the World Cup anytime soon?
It's possible. An African nation has not won the World Cup before.
Yeah.
But Morocco, they've been doing so. They did well in the last World Cup. They did so well. And I won't be surprised if they take it further. You know, maybe, and who knows?
They were even the first team that qualified for the World Cup in Africa.
Yeah, yeah. I think they won all their matches.
Run.
No draws. They won all. I think they even did they conceive? I'm not even sure. It was whether Tunisia didn't conceive or one of them didn't conceive. I think they did very well. 100% record performance. So they are showing that African football is no more a child's play, and the World Cup is also a bigger stage to see how far they can progress. I'll just wish them the best.
Impressive one, of course, for Morocco. It's been an impressive movement when it has to do with football achievements down there in Morocco. And don't forget, they'll also be hosting, I think, the 2030 World Cup, co-hosting that World Cup as well. That's to tell you that football has gotten to another level down there in Morocco. I think they have about 10 standard football stadium, as it stands. So it's really, really something huge. This is an intentional approach into football development, and now, they have started benefiting from what they've done, over the years. I think, just like you mentioned, Nigeria, can't we also maybe adopt this approach and see how we can also better our football in the country?
We can, but the problem is leadership. You have people who have been embezzling money, and at the end of the day, they are not using the money to do the right thing. Take for instance now. Last week, from the business side of sports angle, about
14 billion.
14 billion. We've made 14 billion. If you take a look at how this money is being utilized, you find out that there's nothing to write home about. There should be room for infrastructural development with the money that is being made from some of these activities, and but at the end of the day, you see embezzlement, money, the money not being used to do the right thing, and I think that is what has affected us badly in sports.
All right, away from that, let's stay away from Morocco as we talk about the Super Falcons. Cesar Oshola, Fola Shade, Ejimi Lusu, and Miracle Sani were among the early arrivals as the Super Falcons opened camp for their 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations qualifiers against the Amazons of Benin Republic. The other early birds in camp are Taiwo Afolabi, Joy Omewa, Andalin Mbechi, Blessing Edada, and Kafayat Mfesere. 13 more players are still being expected in camp, and the Super Falcons are camped at Hotel Sarakawa, Lometogo. Just the Madogu side will hand their first training section last night. While their first season last night will take on Benin in the first leg of the WAFCON 2026 second qualifying round tie at the start Koye Lume on Thursday. The reverse fixture is slated for the Moshood Abiola Sports Arena and Abeokuta next week Tuesday. Super Falcons are back for the next WAFCON. This is the qualifiers as it stands. What do you make of it? It's a very formidable Super Falcons side. Won the African Cup of Nations last time under the leadership of Coach Justin Madugu, who was even nominated for the Ballon d'Or, last time. What do you make? Do you think this would be a roller coaster ride? Looking at the fact that the players, they understand the coach, they also understand themselves. The chemistry is there. you think this qualifiers will be an easy one or easy run for the Super Falcons?
Well, there are no easy qualifiers anymore in football, but I think that the Super Falcons, going by their strength and their ability, they just won the last Cup of
WAFCON.
Nations, WAFCON, and I think that with that achievement and with the form they are at the moment, they can be able to defeat Benin Republic and push to the next stage of the competition.
Away from the Super Falcons, Super Eagles friendly matches against Venezuela and Colombia scheduled to be played in the U.S. Next month have been cancelled. This is because Nigeria will be taking part in the African playoffs ahead of the 2026 World Cup. The dates for the friendlies clash with the playoff fixtures in Morocco, and the Eagles were to play Venezuela on November 14 in Houston and Colombia on November 18 in New York. So the friendlies have been cancelled so that the Super Eagles of Nigeria can concentrate on the playoff. Good approach?
Good approach, good approach. But even though it's not in the best the best interest of Nigeria that we are playing playoffs at the moment, and which anything could happen, So, but I think that it's a good approach for them. But the team also needs one or two, maybe, I don't know, but there will be no international break before then. So, but I think the team needs a kind of a preliminary match preparation for that playoff so that they can get them up to speed. And
the playoff is next month, November. Do they still need to play any play? What if some of the players get injured, So you really have to be careful. For me, I think it's a good idea cancelling the friendlies so that they can channel their energy to the playoff.
I feel like I'm always skeptical, like I said, about playoff. Playoff, any works with little details, any small details, little details, you act. You might be the best team in playoff, but because the energy is always high, the intensity is always high from the other opposition, any small mistake you're out. So I feel like we need more togetherness, we need more cohesion to make sure that we put our hands in order to make sure that we qualify. So I think if it is possible, the NFF can schedule a preliminary match, even if it's one before.
I'm afraid so that the player will not get injured. What if Osimhen gets injured in the preliminary game?
The preliminary game is just like a light off, it's soft, but it's just like to bring that spirit of togetherness together, like just to, like people just come from their various clubs and they just go into the playoff.
Let us see how it goes, but I think it's a good decision cancelling these friendlies so that we can concentrate on the playoff. All right, at least in the couple of games we've seen a little bit of synergy, because you were saying the same in the team under Eric Chell. So in fact they have a lot of games to play. The playoff is November, and of course the AFCON, African Competition, comes up in December. So these players, for me, have to be fit. They have a lot of games to play.
The African Cup of Nations will mean nothing if we don't qualify. For me, if we don't qualify from the World Cup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have to reserve our energy and make sure our players are fit heading down, to these games. But away from the Super Eagles, Liverpool legends, Jamie Carragher says he is worried about the current form of the team. Talking about Liverpool, this was following their 2-1 defeat to Manchester United in the Premier League over the weekend. The Premier League defending champions have now lost their last 4 games in the Premier League and 5 in all competition. What do you make of it? Liverpool not the same at this point. They started very well, but all of a sudden they've lost about 4 games in a row. What could be wrong?
So sad for Liverpool at this point. I saw it coming anyway. And I was a bit worried. Liverpool, their transfer season, they did very well, but they let some quality players leave. Like Luis Diaz was an integral part of that team, and because they play a very high tempo game, Luis Diaz, Gakpo were the ones doing the work. Not even Salah. Salah was just doing the finishing. Similar thing happened, I think 3 seasons ago, when Mane left for Bayern Munich. They also suffered that same thing because nobody was pressing, nobody was playing that high tempo system they normally play. So I think letting Luis Diaz go is a big blow for them. and they just have to find solutions because leaving Gapo to do that particular job alone is not really enough. They have to change the system. They are playing with a 4-3-3 system or so. So they need to change the system as quickly as possible to make sure that maybe Etiki and Isak plays together. And if they do so, maybe they can also find back their form again. But for now, the system they are playing is predictable. There's no high press. So Liverpool is the best team to even win at the moment. It's the best top side to win at the moment because of the system they play at the moment.
All right, so sad at this point in time that this is happening to Liverpool after spending over 400 million pounds, in signing players this season, and I think they were the highest spenders in the last, transfer, window. And at the end of the day, players not living up to expectation, poor results in the last 4 games, not a good one at all at this point. But tonight, UEFA Champions League makes a return, and Barcelona will lock arms against Olympiacos. They lost their last game, talking about Barcelona against PSG, and tonight they will be against Olympiacos. The UC Barca gets the win.
An easy win for them because they are playing at home in front of the stadium, and Olympiacos is not really much of a threat. So I think they are going to get that one.
They played at home over the weekend against Girona, and they struggled.
They struggled.
They left it late.
Yes, they left it late, but at least they won. It doesn't matter when you score the winning goal. You won. So
sometimes it matters. If it's really easy that way, maybe they would have scored 2-3 goals maybe in the middle of the game, not leaving it late. 93rd minute. I think that was when Araujo, of course, actually came with that, goal, as it stands. So I don't know what you make of it. A little bit of, struggle for Barca, loss against PSG, came and struggled against Girona, and now they're heading against Olympiacos. So
they are not in their best form, Barcelona, at the moment. But I listened to what Fami was saying. He said that the coach asked them to press more high up the pitch, and Barca, as we know, they are going to get back to their best. I see the struggles at the moment. Yamin Lama is just coming back from injury. And their last game, there was no Lewandowski. I think there was no Ferran Torres. There was no Ferran Torres. So they had a lot of players missing out on that encounter. So I think that the match against Olympiacos will be a roller coaster for them. They are going to get back to their best winning form in that game.
Tonight, there's going to be Karat Amati against Pafos. Where do you think the pendulum will swing to in that game?
I don't see anybody winning, but if you ask me, because of Pafos exploit in the qualifiers, I have to say I'm going for a win or draw for them.
A win or draw for Pafos tonight. Arsenal, they are back, and this time against Atletico Madrid. You see Arsenal continuing their impressive run tonight against Atletico Madrid.
Arsenal have been in form, Arsenal have been. I tell people Arsenal are strong contenders for the Premier League this season because they have a lot of players. In every depth, there's Mosquera replacing Mangales. There's Eze also in that team at the moment, and Saka is no more missed. If Saka goes on injury, there are other players who can feel that. So the midfield section is also choked up.
But Saka is very important to the team.
He's very important, but he won't be surely missed like before. When he goes 3 weeks and people will be complaining. Arsenal fans are complaining who will replace Saka. But now you have Eze, you have Madueke, you have a lot of them. So I think Arsenal has the full option now to compete at the local stage. But the international stage, which is the Champions League, they've not been able to prove themselves worthy of Champions League winners and all that.
But they go to the semi-final last season.
They go to the semi-final, but they go to the semi-finals, but they've not won it.
They've not won it, but it's a gradual process.
It is, but I see them doing well this season. Remember, Atletico Madrid are also coming into this match with a lot of form. After they won against Real Madrid, they've not lost a game. They've not lost a game. So I think they're also coming into the game with a lot of energy. But let's just give it to Arsenal for bad as it bad. They might just go home with a draw.
Bayer Leverkusen will lock arms against Paris Saint-Germain. Can Paris Saint-Germain get a win in this one? Don't forget the last game at home in the league, they drew against Strasbourg. All right, came as a surprise, to so many. But if you take a look at it, Strasbourg are in a very good form, in the Ligue 1 this season. Can they get a good result this today against Bayer Leverkusen?
I see them getting a win or draw because from the squad list, I think Marquinhos is back. I also saw Dembele also on the squad list. So I think they're going to have a lot of full options players to select for this encounter. Remember, Paris Saint-Germain is also suffering the same thing Barca is suffering at the moment, injuries. We saw Dio coming back from injury. We saw Dembele also coming back. A lot of players also coming back. And the international break also, some players also were also left out in that last encounter. So I think that I see them avoiding defeat in Germany.
There's going to be Copenhagen against Borussia Dortmund tonight, and Newcastle United will be in action against Benfica. PSV against Napoli. Napoli not really living up to expectation. Lost their last game over the weekend against Torino. I don't know what you make of it. Conte, they've got some couple of players. There's the man from Manchester City, Kevin De Bruyne, down there. Why they not really coming up with those expected results?
Well, let me say one thing. One thing is clear. When you win a title last season, it's always difficult to get to that 100% efficiency, because teams must have mastered your tactics, how you're playing, except you have to change to a new tactics entirely, which is difficult. You cannot change a winning tactics except it starts failing. So I think that Conte is a master coach when it comes to football. And I remember also they also had issues. Lukaku has been their main man throughout last season, but this season he has not played even a match due to injuries. They brought in some other players, but you cannot compare them with Romelu Lukaku and what he brings to the table for Napoli. So I think that Napoli has suffered a lot of setback with injuries in the player of Romelu Lukaku. And let's just hope that if he comes back, he gives them that depth and dimension that they're looking for. But going to the Champions League also, Conte is not much of a Champions League coach to me. He hasn't done excellently well in the Champions League. But look at his league career. He won a title with Chelsea. He won with, I think, is it the club before?
I think Inter Milan.
Inter Milan or Juventus or so.
It's wrong with Inter
Milan. So he has been a league coach, winning titles.
I think it was the one with Napoli.
Yes, Napoli also. So I think that, but in the Champions League, he has not been that fantastic. So I wouldn't expect so much from him.
Union St. Cloud will lock us against Inter Milan, and we'll see Villarreal against Manchester City. Those are the fixtures we'll be expecting in the UEFA Champions League tonight. We'll make a return. We'll take, of course, an in-depth analysis on those games. We'll look at the permutation and see where the pendulum might swing to, of course, at the end of the game. Thank you, Rex, for doing justice on the show this morning. This is a time we'll call it a wrap. You can do well too. Go down to our social media handle, Facebook, Twitter, or X to say, Instagram, YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks.
Feyenoord gaat door!